Hello everybody and welcome into the Manny Rays NOMA Truck Series live from Legacy Kentucky Motor Speedway. Getting ready for another good one here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, you may not have heard me in a little while, but it's certainly good to be back. Excited to see these guys go at it tonight. We got a lot of things to go through, so before we get any further, let's get right into tonight with your starting grid. Taking the pole, David Traylor for Turn 4 Racing puts down a 31.448. Jay Stinson, the veteran racing driver, will start on the outside pole in second. Row 2 is going to be one of the Grandstand Racing veterans, Justin Parham, and to his outside is the 74 of Jake Bustos. Kenneth Redinger rolls off from the 5th spot here tonight. That's going to be Sam Boutwell back in 6th. Zach Stevens in 7th with Keith Prince at 8th. Joey Hickox in 9th. And Chase Greer will round out your top 10. Moving on back to row number 6, it's Jonathan Herbert in the 87 alongside Bill Hales in the 53. Matthew Fritz starts back in 13th with Mark Beverly for Asphalt Outlaws Racing to his outside in 14th. Chris Melton, one of the rookies this season, starts in 15th with another rookie, Pete Dillon, to his outside in 16th. Those two drivers will round out the field here tonight. All right, taking a look at your race info. It is the Mike T. Stevens 218 here tonight in the NOMA Truck Series. 145 laps. Going to be the distance at 75% fuel. 5 sets of tires, 1 fast repair. Fixed setups as always. Stage 1 will be at the conclusion of lap 35. Stage 2 ends at the conclusion of lap 70. And then we have 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. 70 degrees outside. Humidity not too bad. Clear skies. Winds nice and calm at a mile an hour. Kentucky Motor Speedway a mile and a half in distance. 73-degree track temp for the start of this race. Well, you might have noticed the name of the race here tonight. Unfortunately, Zach Stevens recently had a family member that did pass away, Mike T. Stevens. And so to pay respects to him and Zach Stevens, we are going to have a moment of silence here during the pace lap. All right, so as we wrap up our moment of silence here, as we get ready to wrap up the pace lap, field is ready in the hands of David Traylor, and we are getting ready to go racing here tonight. Stage 1 is going to be a short sprint. Fuel will be a question, but we'll talk more about that once we get underway. Under the lights, a great time to do it. A good field ready to go. Here we go. David Traylor makes his way towards the Geico restart zone. Jay Stinson on the outside. Here we go. Green flag in the air. We're racing at Kentucky. Lap 1 is in the books, and it goes to the 54 of David Traylor, leading over that 19 truck of Justin Parham. As Jay Stinson lost a position on that first lap, he falls back to 3rd, but still a little bit of side-by-side further back here. Sam Boutwell, Jake Bustos going at it. Bustos trying to make something happen here on the inside. In fact, Boutwell is actually the truck looking to pick up positions. Jake Bustos kind of going in the wrong direction, but that may not be too much of a concern here early because tire wear is going to be a factor. This is an older racetrack surface, being as we are at Legacy, Kentucky, and not the newer version. So we'll see how things play out, but as Bustos falls a few positions, that allowed Sam Boutwell to move up and tuck in just behind his Grandstand Racing teammate. Meanwhile, further back, here's Joey Hickox going at it with the number 1 truck of Keith Prince. Certainly a lot of different paint schemes this season, a couple of mix-ups with, I don't know if I want to call it mix-up, but certainly change in hands for certain drivers moving to different teams, certain drivers returning to certain teams, and then certain teams growing significantly in size over what they've been in past seasons. Probably most notably, though, is Grandstand Racing and the amount of drivers they picked up this season, one of them being the current leader of this race, David Traylor in the 54, and boy, what a great season he had last year. And man, he's looking to see if he can do it again. And now that he's on a team that is more than capable and has already shown that they can produce championships, you wonder if maybe the 54 can find a way to make it happen again. The 19 of Justin Parham, his teammate, though, is trying to close that distance, about 0.2 of a second. Currently the gap between the 54 and the 19 as they work their way off of turn number 4. And you might have noticed here at Kentucky, maybe hard to see a little bit from the broadcast views, but if we go to the onboard cam, turns 1 and 2 here, very different than 3 and 4. Now, Legacy, again, a little bit different than what we were used to seeing when the Real Life Cup Series used to go here before they took it off the schedule. But the biggest thing is that turn 1 and 2 has a little bit more banking than 3 and 4, and is a little bit tighter of a radius to a degree, if you will. So we'll see where everybody's better at. It looks like Traylor feels really comfortable right now on the bottom of the racetrack as you see him out the front windshield right now of the 19 Justin Parham, we currently ride on board with. But if you're David Traylor, I mean, he's got the clean air. He can go pretty much wherever he wants at the moment. Right now, it seems like he is feeling pretty comfortable on the bottom of the racetrack. By the way, we do have driver cams available as always, and here tonight looks like we only had one driver take it, and that is your current leader, David Traylor, carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. So as we take a look at how the 54 is looking right now in the real-life cockpit, it looks pretty relaxed, all things considered. Only 6 laps complete, nowhere near that first pit stop just yet, so he's taking his time, trying to take it easy, and just trying to find a rhythm here to see if he can maybe put some distance between himself and his teammate. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case because Parham continues to just stalk in the tire tracks right now. And look at this, Jay Stinson in the number 2 truck. He has now made his way right back up to these two, making it a 3-way battle for the lead. And the big question is who conserves early and who fights for that clean air. Kenneth Redinger in the 24, who currently sits 4th on the racetrack. You see him pop it into frame along with the 47 of Sam Boutwell. And so the draft definitely playing a factor as you see the 19 get around his teammate. And so David Traylor will fall to 2nd, maybe 3rd here as Jay Stinson's going to try to take a look around the inside. Nothing doing there. Traylor's got the momentum. He'll be able to retain that position. Parham still trying to make something happen, though. He got clear initially, but Traylor took the top, and now he's got to run back on his teammate up top. And Stinson's got to be loving this because every lap that those two run side by side, the more they wear their tires out, the easier it's going to make a move here for Jay Stinson to try to make if he decides to do one. But he's got to watch out. That 24 is starting to fill up his mirror now as Kenneth Redinger, he's going to be looking for more here down into turn number 1. Further back, 2, 3. It looks like just about they're all single filing out after about probably that 4th or 5th position. And we've already got pretty good separation amongst the field here, even as early on as it is, about the entire length of the backstretch. By the way, Mark Beverly, not sure what happened to the driver of the 55 truck, but he is not currently on the racetrack, so certainly not the race that Mark Beverly would have liked to have, with his hopes ending as early as they have. But let's take a minute to talk about some of the rookies, and then later we'll talk about how they're doing so far this season. But Pete Dillon out of Philadelphia for Moose Knuckle Motorsports. He's got a couple teammates throughout the series, but only one in the field here tonight with him, and that's the driver that runs just a spot ahead of him, Chris Melton in the 49 truck, the driver out of Longwood, Florida. Another one of those Moose Knuckle Motorsports drivers trying to make an impact this season. Again, when you come into this series as a rookie, you have got a lot to learn and not necessarily a ton of time to do it before we start to close in on the playoffs. But I can tell you that Chris and Pete, they're taking notes. These two, they're going to get better and better each week, and it all starts with trying to put together just the little things, right? Both drivers already up a position from where they started this race at, and well, I know that they're running at the back of this field for now. They're out here getting experience, and it's going to translate to some of the mile and a halves that we continue to go to throughout the season. Matthew Fritz, the Venom Racing driver, makes a return this season after going deep into the playoffs last season. Right now, he currently sits in that 13th spot. No positions gained or lost at the moment. And then you've got Bill Hales in 12th, Jonathan Herbert up in the 11th position, Chase Greer, another one of the Venom Racing teammates that return, and then Keith Prince. Different looking paint scheme for the one car as he returned to his same team from last season, Asphalt Outlaws Racing. That team did shrink down in size a little bit. And then Joey Hickox, the Venom Racing driver, who, if you remember, not last season but the season before, won himself a Truck Series championship. He's looking to see if he can reclaim the title this year. Zach Stevens, there he is in 7th with the Mike T. Stevens tribute paint scheme on the hood and on the tailgate. It's a good-looking paint scheme for Zach Stevens. Had a chance to honor Mike T. Stevens during the pace lap, and I know that it mean that much more to Zach if he could find a way to victory lane here tonight. Remember, he's got a thing for these mile and a halves. We've seen just how good he is at the super speedways, but He's found a way to get the job done a couple times at some of the mile and a halfs we've been to, and who knows, maybe tonight's his night. We'll find out. Back up front, David Traylor has reclaimed the lead. Justin Parham has actually lost a spot to his other teammate, Kenneth Redinger, as he's fallen back to third. Redinger moves up to second. And then you can see Jake Bustos, Sam Batwell, and a couple of others still trying to scramble to make it up as many positions as they can before we either get to this first pit stop or the first stage. Now, I do want to note that for David Traylor, I mean, kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop up here. I'm sure he did the same thing to Justin Parham with the fact that I know he had that clean air and maybe didn't battle too hard with Parham, but certainly did show, you know, a little bit of effort in trying to hold his teammate off, and Parham got by, but boy, it did not stay that way for long, so maybe David Traylor was actually saving more tire than we realized at the start of this race, and it's paying off for him right now as he's got about a 2.5 of a second lead over his teammate. But we keep talking about fuel mileage and what these drivers are going to get. And I'll tell you one thing, 30 laps, that's close. It's going to be really, really close on if these drivers can make it the entirety of stage one here on a tank of gas. Now, if you can't, you're not going to take any tires, I wouldn't think. This will just be a splash and go. But if you can, then you start setting yourself up to try to battle for a stage win. And it's never too early in the season to start trying to get yourself some stage points, be in a good position once we get closer to the end of the regular season and drivers start having to keep a closer eye on that playoff bubble, if you will, which, of course, right now is not going to be a concern. But looking at the points after just 3 races, again, Pocono was last week, the week before that. Well, actually, I guess I should say let's start with the opener, Daytona International Speedway. Then we went on to Auto Club, followed by what was last week, which was the Turkey Triangle Pocono Raceway. Justin Parham for Grandstand Racing currently leads the Drivers' Championship for points, at least. Zachary Stevens second, Mark Beverly third, Kenneth Redinger fourth, and Chase Greer currently rounding out your top 5 in points. One of the biggest movers, though, over the course of last week was David Traylor, who jumped about a handful of positions or so, it looks like, in the points standings. And then as for team points, shouldn't be surprised based off who we had leading the driver points. Grandstand Racing currently leads in the points category, Venom Racing in second, Asphalt Outlaws Racing in third, and then Moose Knuckle Motorsports looks like currently sits in fourth. And then MNT Motorsports, last team right now, currently sitting in 5th place. 18 of 145 laps now complete as David Traylor crosses the line that time. And for David Traylor right now, he has got a really good rhythm going. That truck looks like it is on rails as Redinger has just not been able to find anything for him yet. 24 will continue to try to make adjustments, but it might take a pit stop here to reset and maybe try something different in terms of the tire-saving strategy, if you will, here for Kenneth Redinger, as David Traylor seems to be making great use of that clean air as he continues to lead. But further back, starting to see a little bit of passing going on about at the mid-portions of the pack. Jay Stinson, Jake Bustos side-by-side down the front stretch. And again, there are no boundaries here at Kentucky, so you can go as low as you want on the racetrack. Drivers, in general, not really going to utilize that necessarily through turns 1 and 2. I think it would be more so in 3 and 4 that you could potentially see that, you know, going below that yellow line be utilized if you were to need it, but hasn't been the case so far as, again, 3 and 4 is a little bit flatter. That's why drivers have the opportunity to get down there, hug the yellow line, or maybe just dip 2 tires down below it. And then down on the front stretch, of course, if you would like to go down below that yellow, try to cut the distance down a little bit, drivers will have the opportunity to do that as well. 20 laps now complete. That means 11 laps to go here in stage number 1. By the way, these stages, at least stage 1, a little bit shorter than stage 2, and then, of course, stage 2 going to be a little bit shorter than stage 3. So this will be the only stage where I don't think a pit stop will come into play. And with that knowledge, if you're a driver on track, I think you got to take advantage, because once you add a pit stop into the mix, that all of a sudden makes things all the more complicated. You got to be perfect, and you also got to have the right strategy call. And we saw it quite a bit throughout last season. I'm sure we'll see it again a lot this season, and that's just maybe a driver goes in a little bit sooner, tries to short pit, has fresher tires, versus maybe somebody that decides to stay out a little bit longer, try to have the fresher tires at the end of a run. And it's all about who makes that right call at the right time. Right now, David Traylor continuing to show that he made the right call by getting out in front early on, as the rest of the field continues to try to play catch-up. Further back, almost a little bit of side-by-side right there between Keith Prince and Chase Greer. They quickly got that sorted out as Bill Hales is going to look to see if he can make a move to the outside here as they work their way through the tri-oval. And nothing doing right there. I guess I should say the front stretch. It's almost like one big tri-oval here at Kentucky down that front straightaway. as it's kind of a big arc. And then the backstretch, you're going to notice, actually, this isn't just on the back, this is on the front as well. That safer barrier doesn't go all the way down the wall on the outside. And, most people say, okay, well, what does that matter? That doesn't play too much of a role. Believe it or not, that can affect a driver's line a little bit depending on the way that they wash up off the corner. So, for example, as Keith Prince works off the corner right there, see how that safer barrier transitions into a concrete wall? Well, that's almost probably, I would say, another foot, maybe 2 feet that a driver can get closer to that wall. So if you're sliding up and you're getting close to hitting that wall, you got to make sure that you're perfect, because if you're maybe a little bit early on the exit of the corner, you're expecting to have that extra foot or two by the time you slide up the racetrack, and you don't. You're going to tag that safer barrier, and you can do a lot of damage to these trucks in a hurry. Bill Hales, though, good-looking paint scheme for him tonight, and he continues to work his way through the field. You see the back end of that truck wiggling around a little bit as they go over the bumps through 3 and 4. And that is, by the way, Bill Hales just ahead, who's already picked up 3 positions from where he started this race, and, of course, is now broken into the top 10. Meanwhile, up front for David Traylor, he's going to be looking at 6 laps to go when they cross the line this next time, and he has put just about a second lead over his teammate Kenneth Redinger. And so, I'll tell you what, Redinger was already considered probably one of the favorites. Traylor maybe kind of still had a couple people maybe questioning him, calling him an underdog pick, but I think after what he proved after the championship last season, not only was he a favorite coming into this season, but now that he's put himself on Grandstand Racing, that's going to make that team all the more dangerous, and the chances for David Traylor to maybe go back-to-back that much more dangerous as well. Off of turn 2, David Traylor, 6 laps to go. And again, a little bit of a smaller field here tonight with only 16 drivers, and only 15 actually made the start, as, again, Mark Beverly had a couple issues. I think part of that might be due to the fact that, of course, the real-life Daytona race, Coke 0400, going on right now. So some of these drivers might be either out watching that in real life or just watching it on TV. But, I mean, either way, when we get to the playoffs, it's around a 16, and that doesn't leave much room for error. And, in fact, I know we mentioned what the points were looking like earlier, but the one thing I didn't mention when I talked about those is the amount of drivers that currently are on the point sheet. Now, not all these drivers are going to necessarily be full-time. However, I would say probably about 20 to 25 of them you'd probably see throughout at least half, maybe a little bit more than that, of this season. And the field initially started as 32 strong with the race at Daytona. So we'll see how that pans out through the rest of the season, and maybe certain tracks that drivers have their eye on to try to see if they can get a win and give themselves that big boost in points that you need to try to propel yourselves into the playoffs. And can't forget about one of the events that I'm sure everybody's got circled on their calendar, at least all the drivers later on this season, and that is the NOMA double header, which is, of course, going to be everybody attempting the double, if you will, based off the real-life double, which will be the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indy cars, followed by Charlotte Motor Speedway. Both of those races will be in the same night. We'll see if anybody can pull it off, get a win in both. So right now, David Traylor looks to see if he can get a win in stage number 1. He'll be coming to 2 laps to go next time. If we were to get a caution at this point, that would officially bring the stage to an end. With that 54 out in front would give him the stage win, as Redinger has now fallen to just over a second behind the 54. Meanwhile, the battle for third is still intense here. Justin Parham, Jay Stinson going at it. Parham with the new sponsor this season. You see he's got the Kubota tractors. And actually, I don't think it's just tractors, but in general, Kubota, the tractor company, we see them sometimes a sponsor in the Cup Series. And so if you're Parham right here, you got to fight pretty hard, because you only got 2 laps to go. And if you're Stinson, you're trying to push the issue. You've got a teammate behind you. Maybe he can help you out a little bit down the straights. And for Zach Stevens, he's kind of fighting his own battle right here. He's trying to see if he can maybe pick up a little bit of track position before we get to this stage break. As again, it seems like clean air is going to be a really, really big factor here tonight. David Traylor has proved that already. But also, you want to set yourself up to have a good run and potentially get some good points for stage number 2, which we said it is going to be longer than stage 1, but not necessarily by all that much. As I believe this is the white flag. And I do want to double check that for David Traylor, because sometimes we did get these mixed up as a little bit rusty in the return. Want to make sure that, nope, it was lap 35, so I do apologize. This is not the white flag lap. And that's why we double check it. So the 54's actually got 5 more laps to go, and I think that makes a little more sense. Part of me was kind of sitting here wondering why they would have 45 in stage 2 when they can make it a little bit closer to being about the same amount of laps. So by 35, that would actually potentially make stage 2 a little bit shorter than stage 1, which gets a little bit interesting, because then if they can make it to the end of stage 1 right here, then you got to assume that they can, of course, make it to the end of stage number 2 after they, of course, make the pit stop and top off on fuel, take 4 tires, and get back out there. And so for David Traylor, with just 4 laps to go when he crosses the line this time, I would think at this point they feel like they're good to go on fuel. If not, I would almost think you would have had to make that pit stop by now. But who knows? We'll see if anybody peels off, maybe try some strategy if they feel like, I don't know, maybe they could pit just before the pits get closed for the stage and then maybe try to flip some track position. Always certainly a strategy to be kind of a gamble, if you will, if you're further back in the field and you've got nothing to lose. But I think right now everybody inside the top 5 is content to try to make it, as Zach Stevens is taking a look on the outside of his teammate here, Jay Stinson. See if Stevens can make something happen here through 3 and 4. Doesn't necessarily have the preferred lane in the turns, but he'll have a lot of momentum down the straights. As you can see, Stinson not even appearing in the left side window yet. There's that number 2 truck off of turn number 4, but Stevens has the momentum. He'll rocket ahead as they cross the start-finish line. Question is it enough to get clear? Doesn't look like it. Stinson's going to continue to battle him for this spot. Doesn't want to give it up too easily, knowing that we're coming to the stage break here soon. Meanwhile, Sam Boutwell, who gained some spots right out of the gate, currently now back to 6th, the same position that he started in, as there goes Bill Hales on the 53. He shoots with a move down to the inside of the racetrack. Oh, man, that got really tight right there for just a moment between him and Jake Bustos. Man, that could have been a whole lot worse. Almost some contact between the 53 and the 74 as Bill Hales was trying to put the hammer down, but just not enough front grip to get that truck turning. And that keeps them stalled out and side by side down into turn number 1. Hale's going to try the same thing, but I mean, in credit to Bill, Jake's certainly trying to pinch him down, trying to make that 53 have to wrap the bottom of the racetrack. Saw Bill, he tried to slide up again, but realized he didn't have it. It's got to stay low for now. He really needs to get clear here. If he stays down there too long, he's going to use up his stuff. And there we go. He'll dive it in deep. And it looks like Bustos maybe going to actually help him out a little bit and let him go. All right, now we cross the line to take lap 35. So now it is officially the white flag here in stage number 1 for David Traylor. We saw David pick up the sponsor towards the end of last season, Mushroom Top Tea. Looks like they have stuck around to return this season. And if you're looking for a driver to sponsor, that's your guy right there after winning the championship already. He would like to see if he can get the job done yet again. And so as he works his way off of turn number 4, turn number 4, he will cross the line. A winner in stage number 1. David Traylor takes it at Kentucky.
All right, man, caution is out.
There is the stage break caution flag as the rest of the field crosses the stripe. And so top 3 here at the end of the stage was David Traylor, Kenneth Redinger, and Justin Parham. Makes it a 1-2-3 for Grandstand Racing here with 36 of 145 laps complete. All right, well, everybody's going to bring it down for full service on the pits, 4 tires, and fill it up with fuel. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll go side by side. And when we come back, we'll see if we can get a word from your Stage 1 winner, David Traylor. Stick with us at Kentucky.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway, the Mike T. Stevens 218 with the NOMA Truck Series. Stage 1 is complete. And just before we go back green, we got your Stage 1 winner in here, David Traylor. David, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
I got you, Austin. It's good to hear from you again.
Well, thank you, man. It looked really good there through Stage 1 for you. Had a lot of speed, had clean air. What's going to be the game plan here for Stage 2?
Hopefully the same thing. I was kind of joking with my teammates there. I have no idea how hard to run. We'll see if I can do the same. I got to keep the right front under me. This place kills right fronts. So just backing up my corners, taking it easy, and hopefully we can go to the end of Stage 2 here.
Well, you looked good in fuel for Stage 1. Is there any concerns for fuel in Stage 2, or is it going to be another sprint?
Should be good on fuel. I think I'm just going to drive it like I am. So we'll see what happens.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for talking to us, David. And again, congrats on the Stage 1 win.
Thanks, Austin.
All right, put David Traylor back to his team, and boy, that's always a good feeling as a driver when you don't really necessarily know how much you need to push it, and you just kind of go out there and wing it, and you still have the fastest truck on the track. So far, so good for David Traylor. We'll see if he can do more of the same. As here we go, 54 in the 19, back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 40 laps complete at Kentucky. Another good restart for David Traylor as he'll lead them all down into turn number 1. Justin Parham on the outside. And then there's Zach Stevens. He was able to gain a couple spots via strategy through that pit stopper. I guess I should just say via a better pit stop than a couple of the other drivers. So he's got himself currently sitting inside a podium position as he battles with Sam Boutwell down into turn number 3. Boutwell trying to see if he can hold him down there. Ooh, Stinson, big moment for the 2 truck right there. Cold tires, and as everybody's still trying to get some air pressure built into these tires, man, that was a really, really close call for Stinson. Coming off of turn 4, he almost let the back end of that truck loop around. Let's go back and watch this again. Man, I talked about close for Jay Stinson. He almost just saw his race potentially go up in smoke early here. As wow, that's a big save. Almost 45 degrees sideways for the 2 truck. But he holds on to continue on, and now that those tires start to get warmed up, looks a little bit better this time through 3 and 4 as he files in line behind the 74 of Jake Bustos and his teammate, the 8 of Chase Greer. So we talked about Stage 1 being, of course, 35 laps. We saw how it ended, but looking at Stage 2 and talking about the distance of what to expect, Stage 2 ends at the end of lap 70, which is, less than 30 laps from now. So I know we asked David Traylor, because of course I was still curious, but yeah, fuel really shouldn't be a concern as all the drivers were able to make it the distance there in Stage 1. Now, I don't think they could have went much more if it was 40 laps, and maybe they would have had to make that pit stop, but nonetheless, with just about 32 laps, I think going to be the total here in Stage 2, everybody should be good to go. And then, of course, Stage 3, that'll set us up for about a 75-lap run to the finish, in which case we will definitely see at least a pit stop, questionably whether it's under green or during a caution. Here comes the 19 of Justin Parham, now back to the outside, trying to fight with his teammate to retain the lead. And just 43 of 145 laps complete. You kind of wonder, is it early for the teammates to be battling like this? Well, David Traylor actually let this happen last stage, and it worked out really well for him. He allowed that 19 of Justin Parham to kind of go by after battling a little bit, and next thing you knew, about a handful of laps later or so, Traylor had gotten back around his teammate. Difference this time is he's not just going to get passed by 1, but potentially 2 here. Zach Stevens is looking to see if he can make a move around the outside of the 54 into turn number 3. He's got the momentum. That truck looks like it is glued to the racetrack right now. He needs to get clear here, though. Doesn't want to use up too much stuff, trying to get around the 54 of Traylor. And if you're Justin Parham, he's doing everything he can to try to keep this 54 up here, not let this 33 get the advantage. You saw him drop low on the front straightaway. That allowed David Traylor to pick up a little bit of draft off his teammate. But Stevens up top. Now Traylor is going to move back to the top of the racetrack, and this puts Justin Parham under fire now as he doesn't have any help, and he's going to lose the lead. How about this? Zach Stevens is going to go to the lead here with 45 laps complete. And I said it earlier in stage 1, how much would this race win mean? And this is good for him that he's finding speed early if he wants to have a chance late, but I think David Traylor realizes that he cannot let this 33 get out to too big of a lead. He saw what happened when he allowed himself pretty much to get out to as big of a lead as he got earlier, where it just seemed like nobody else could really catch him. And so I think that's why we're seeing the 54 fight so hard all of a sudden. And for David Traylor, did he save a little bit of tire at the start there, and does he have something to fight that 33 with? Further back, side by side for Jay Stinson alongside Sam Boutwell. And I got to Jay Stinson here. Saw a 2 on that side, but then you flipped it around to the other side. It looked like for a minute the truck said the 21, but that's just the sponsor logo. So that is a new number, though, either way, for Jay Stinson this season as Joey Hickox returned to the 3. We saw that same number for him last season. By the way, I'm not sure what happened here to Joey and a couple others, as a matter of fact, but we didn't get any reports of any issues on the restart, but I got to think they had something go wrong here as Hickox, Melton, Dillon, and even Matthew Fritz, they have already all completely lost touch with the leaders as they are almost an entire straightaway behind, even though we haven't really ran that many laps yet in stage number 2. And I don't think it's a case of they just don't have any speed. I think there was some sort of issue or something for them to get that far back that quickly, unless they're trying to save fuel for whatever reason. But nonetheless, everybody that's within touch of the leader is all on the same back straightaway currently as Jonathan Herbert last in this lead pack, we'll call it. But Bill Hales, boy, where did the 53 come from? Now he'll take over the lead here with 48 of 145 laps complete. This is his first time out in front here tonight. David Traylor continues to play chase. Zach Stevens has fallen back to 3rd. Justin Parham in 4th. And then, don't look too far back, Chase Greer for Venom Racing. He's up 4 positions from where he started this race at, and he wants more here on the inside of his teammate Jay Stinson, maybe looking to see if he can get to the 47 of Sam Boutwell. Nothing doing that time, and as they cross the line here, it'll be 50 of 145 laps complete at Kentucky. And up front, the battle for the lead continues here, but man, Bill Hales, to tear through the traffic the way he has so far here tonight, he is up 11 positions from where he started this race at, and I don't think he's done yet. He wants to put some distance here between himself and David Traylor as they work off at turn number 2. And if you're David Traylor, what do you do now? Kind of winged it earlier, but it worked out. Now that he's lost it, does he just continue to wing it? Does he just continue to wing it, or does he maybe try to coordinate some sort of strategy here, whether that be trying to back off, save a little bit of tire now, and then reel in the 53 later, or maybe try to put the pressure on the 53 now, try to make him use up his stuff, and then see if you can get around that way. Either way, those two are teammates. Bill Hales, of course, the other new driver that Grandstand Racing picked up this season. If you remember back to last season, it was Sam Boutwell, the rookie for Grandstand Racing. I say the rookie. He wasn't a rookie last season, but he was a rookie for that team. And then, of course, this season, David Traylor and Bill Hales, the two new kids on the block, if you will, for Grandstand Racing, making what could be considered a super team. As, man, normally we'd say it's going to come down to a pretty close battle in team points, which it very well could, but I mean, with the start that Grandstand's had to the season, it's going to be really, really tough, even for Venom Racing, as good of a team as they've got, sitting in second right now in points. Stick with these guys each and every week unless they are pretty much perfect. Tall task. We'll have to see how things pan out. By the way, in case you missed any of them, again, this was first week back. Daytona race was broadcasted on, I believe it was the Southern Broadcast Racing Network. So make sure that if, I guess, those are up, you check those out with Richard Hurst. Second and third race broadcasted on, I think it's Extreme Sim TV. And again, if we have that wrong, I do apologize. But yep, looks like it is Extreme Sim TV on YouTube. So you can find the Auto Club and Pocono race. And then, of course, here tonight, NOMA makes a return to, well, I guess I shouldn't say a return. Good to be back, but you might have noticed we're on a different channel. Decided to bring NOMA over to PGR eSports. Think it will help with a couple things, including fill-ins when, of course, I can't make it, along with a couple other things. So good to have them back. But point is, out of all that, your race winners from the first 3 races of the season, Sam Boutwell boy, you talk about an underdog win and a momentum booster for the 47 to get the job done at the biggest stage in motorsports, Daytona International Speedway. Sam Boutwell was able to get the job done. Then it was on to Auto Club, where David Traylor found victory lane for the first time this season. Continued the streak of new winners in the third race of the season, where Justin Parham found victory lane at the Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway. And so that's how it currently stands, with Grandstand Racing winning all 3 races that we've had so far this season. With how it's looking tonight, maybe they win their 4th. And in fact, that now makes it to where Bill Hales is the only driver on that team that does not have a win yet this season. And that's pretty crazy to say, again, considering that we're only 4 races in after here tonight. But if Bill Hales wins, then that would put a win for each Grandstand Racing driver only 4 races into the season. As the field works their way across the start-finish line, 56 of 145 laps complete, and so that puts us at 15 laps to go here in stage number 2. And if you missed anything, we appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you're having a good Saturday night. David Traylor, the 54, currently sits in second. He was your stage 1 winner. Had a great start in the 54, and then stage 2 here, the big surprise was Bill Hales, who kind of climbed out of the trench, it seemed like, came out of nowhere, took over the lead, and boy, he's looked strong out there. It's not a case of, he used up all his stuff just to get up here and all of a sudden is faded. No, I mean, he's kept himself up here. So far, so good. By the way, going further back, wondering kind of what happened here to Kenneth Redinger, the driver who finished second in stage 1 and had a great run going. We saw, and again, this was under caution. That 24 truck came to a stop down in the grass. Why he did, I'm not 100% sure. See if we had any further insight here on what may have happened to this 24 truck. As actually this was turn 3, which he came to a halt in. Turns down, parks it in the grass for a moment, and he may have had to either go do something or I'm not sure, but either way, that's what cost the 24 all that track position. And believe me, we know how talented Kenneth Redinger is, but even with that loss of track position was huge, because he is now currently down 4 positions from where he started this race at. And even though he's still in the top 10, he is just not making up these positions anywhere near as quick as he probably would like to be. And so we'll be coming to 59 of 145 complete this time. Bill Hales continues to lead. David Traylor in second. Zach Stevens back in third. Justin Parham fourth. Sam Boutwell in fifth. And you've got Jay Stinson in sixth with Jake Bustos in seventh. Chase Greer eighth. Kenneth Redinger ninth. And Keith Prince currently rounding out your top 10. Matthew Fritz in 11th. Jonathan Urban in 12th. Joey Hickox 13th. Chris Melton in 14th. And Pete Dillon in 15th. Well, if you're Bill Hales right now, you can't necessarily relax, but at the same time, he has just been so smooth that I still have yet to see the 54 really make a challenge. David Traylor has tried to take a couple looks, but at the end of the day, really no dice yet. As that 53 has not made a mistake since he got out in front. And if you're Zach Stevens, he's also in a good boat. I know he got the lead and then lost it, but he's gained more track position since the end of stage 1. And if he's able to restart anywhere inside this top 3 here for that third and final stage, certainly can't count out that 33. And now, the reason that we talk about track position being so important isn't just because, of course, you want to be as close to the front and, passing is difficult, but it's the idea of when you have to try to work your way to the front, you have to burn tire. And if you're not saving tire at the beginning of a run here, you're going to get passed later on by guys who were able to. In this case, that happened to David Traylor by Bill Hales getting around him. But who knows? Maybe since then, David Traylor's been saving tire and he'll be able to get back around Bill Hales. However you look at it, that's the nature of the beast, especially at these mile and a halves. Whoever saves the most tire early on and whoever kind of decides to flip that switch at the right time, that's always the driver that prevails, is whoever has the freshest tires. And right now, nobody has had anything for that 53 of Bill Hales just yet. By the way, a couple other names that certainly need to be mentioned were, of course, you can't forget about Jay Stinson. Last season, the crazy finish that we had at Kentucky between him and Kenneth Redinger, he had to do everything to win if he wanted to get in, and he certainly did. Look like he was going to have it. A lot of bumping and banging off of turn 4. Things didn't work out. 2-car wrecked, and actually I said that was with Kenneth Redinger. I don't remember if that was with Redinger or a different truck that he had the contact with, but either way, it was certainly one of the craziest finishes that we saw all season. As now we go back up front, and David Traylor is going to lose another position here to Zach Stevens, who goes around the outside. Not sure if the 54 tried to make a move, didn't work, and lost those spots, or if he's just kind of fading back naturally here. Justin Parham's going to look and see if he can take this spot off turn 2. He indeed will, as he slides up towards that outside concrete. Down into turn 3, though, the 19's going to try to create a little bit of distance now between himself and the 54 of David Traylor. Meanwhile, if you're Bill Hales right here in the 53, just continuing to click off these laps, and now he's just 7 away from getting himself a stage win. Not sure if it'd be his first one of the season or not, but of course, it'd be his first one here tonight. It would make it a stages sweep, if you will, for Grandstand Racing, as one of their drivers won stage 1, and I was going to say looking like one of their drivers are going to win stage 2, but it's certainly not over yet, because that 33 of Zach Stevens, he's coming with a pretty good run right here. Ooh, we got a little bit high right there, maybe even got into the marbles. Trying to get some momentum built up here for the straightaway. And if you're Zach Stevens, it's at the point now in the run, you know you're going to be getting tires in 6 laps. This is where you really start to push it. But the 33 sliding up there through 3 and 4 might have been kind of the last thing, if you will, that Bill Hales needs to try to pull away here and secure the stage 2 victory. By the way, for any drivers that might be concerned about going a lap down, I think the only one's going to be Pete Dillon, who currently finds himself going into turn 1 as the leader is going into turn 3. And even being that far back at the moment, he is in no danger of going a lap down. So Bill Hales won't have to contend with any lap traffic here over the next 3 to 5 laps. And if you're anybody, in this case, I guess Pete Dillon or even Joey Hickox, those two not going to have to worry about going a lap down before we get to our next caution break. Ooh, the 53s, he's starting to leave the bottom open. Stevens is creeping back up. I thought that he had enough room after Zach Stevens slipped up, but the 33 is still looking for more here. And they'll be coming to 4 laps to go. They got to be careful here if they get into each other at all or get a little bit too racy. Justin Parham is going to be there to pounce. And so the 19 taking notes. We know how good he is at these 1.5 miles, especially at tracks that are a little bit lower on grip, and tire wear is a factor, such as Old Atlanta, even Old Kentucky here. And Parham is saying, man, oh man, if you guys could get back to racing. But what a pass that was for Zach Stevens. And here you go. That's exactly what they're going to do. Bill Hales looking back to the inside as they touch doors. Going down the back, Bill Hales trying to work Stevens up the racetrack, and he does. Zach Stevens overcooks it. He gets into the wall going into turn number 3. That was a big moment for the 33. Did he get any damage from that contact? Right front looks to be pretty clean. Left rear right rear looks to be pretty clean as well, so I think he's okay. Man, for Zach Stevens, what a close call that one was. I don't know if that was just a little bit of contact that got him overcooked into the corner, or if he was trying to hold some momentum and stay alongside the 53, but what a race up front that we have had. I mean, Bill Hales trying not to give it up. Stevens trying to pounce at the end, and now all that fighting has brought Justin Parham back into the mix. He's going to be looking to see if he can battle his teammate now for the win here in stage 2 as well. 2 laps to go for Bill Hales. Caution at this point again would end the stage. He would be okay with one. But for Justin Parham, can he find a lane? Can he find the grip to get around this 53 here in the next about 1.5 miles? Maybe a little bit more here as they work their way down the backstretch. And I should say he's going to have 1.5 miles to go once they cross the line. Looks to the inside yet again in 3 and 4. Nothing doing. Bill Hales gets the better momentum up top, but Parham's going to tuck into the draft. Here we go. White flag in the air. 1 to go in stage number 2. Bill Hales still holding him at bay for now. And the 19 of Justin Parham, he's going to take another look to the inside. Going to be very careful. He doesn't want to get into his teammate, but what is he willing to do for the stage win? The 19 not able to get alongside, wasn't able to grab a side draft off the quarter panel. Watch for Bill Hales here. Does he go to the outside or inside? He's going to stick up top. Parham with one final dive to the inside. Is it going to be enough? Starts to slide up. Almost contact. It won't be enough. Bill Hales is going to hold on. He will take stage 2 at Kentucky. Man, what a race we had about those last 10 to 15 laps between the 53, the 19, and the 33. Stevens, Hales, and Parham, and they all finish on the podium with Bill Hales, of course, being the stage winner. Man, that was incredible stuff. And what a fight that was for Bill Hales. That'll get your confidence up as a driver when you fight that hard and it pays off. And so now, assuming that everything goes okay on this next pit stop right here under caution, he should retain the lead and come out as the leader here for the start of stage number 3. All right, so as everybody gets ready to make that pit stop, we're going to take another quick break. We'll go side by side, and we will be back for the restart in stage number 3.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost all trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway. Stage 2 wrapped up in the Mike T. Stevens 218 here at Kentucky. Stage 2 winner, Bill Hales, you got a copy.
Hey, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Good. Well, new team, and so far, great start to the season, but you're the only driver on that team after just 3 races. Still looking for a win. How you feeling here about your chances?
I'm feeling pretty good. We're getting really good right front tire wear, so we had really good tire wear that run. I had 72 on the right front after that run, so looking positive, man, looking positive.
Certainly is. We got a pit stop to contend with, but if you can make it through that, going to be looking good. Congrats on the Stage 2 win, and we'll see if we're talking to you at the end of this race.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
You as well. All right, there you go. Bill Hales, he's ready to go. He'll start on the outside of his teammate Justin Parham, who was able to beat him off the pits during that yellow flag pit stop. And so with Stage 2 wrapped up, there are no more scheduled cautions, and we have yet to have a caution here tonight. Part of that maybe due to the smaller field, and of course the fact that everybody's doing a great job so far. We'll see if we go green all the way through here in stage number 3 as well. It's going to be 71 laps to go as they work into the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Final stage is underway at Kentucky. Great restart for Justin Parham, but a little bit of stacking up further back there, especially on the inside of the racetrack. I think that was the 8 of Chase Greer for Venom Racing. Not sure exactly what the issue he had was there, but looks like they're going to be able to get it back going, and he's back to even off of turn number 2. Meanwhile, up front, the real race is the battle for 2nd and 3rd as they are really, really tight. Watch them here through 3 and 4. That we saw Stinson have some issues here with cold tires last time. Can everybody else get through clean? Looks like they do. Ooh, Boutwell. You saw that little bit of a snap on the inside for that truck. That was him making a correction after he got a little bit loose coming off of turn number 4. And that allows Jake Bustos to just about get clear. And ooh, David Traylor, he had to let up right there as he almost got into his teammate going into 1. Now that's going to cost him some positions here as he gets put 3 wide. Ooh, Boutwell gets loose again. Almost loses it off of turn 2, the 47. This is a terrible restart here for Boutwell as he continues to fade. He just keeps getting put kind of pinched on the inside, and that truck does not look like it feels too comfortable on these cold tires. Takes about 2 laps to get him fully warmed up, and I think he's going to be okay now, but the damage has been done. That 47 has lost quite a bit of ground, and he's going to have to try to make it back up. All right, with 77 of 145 complete, while we have everybody still going at it, how about a little crank it up at Kentucky? Here we go. All right, and that's going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. Hope everybody did enjoy Battle for the Lead. Well, it's not necessarily just now on because it has been on here for the last couple laps. The whole time that we were on the Crank It Up, David Traylor has been trying to get around his teammate here, but look at this. Steven says, I'll try to take advantage as well. The 33 looking on the inside, nothing doing there. And now the two Grandstand Racing teammates are going to try to draft together. Well, maybe not. Bill Hales actually chooses to drop down. That'll aid a little bit of draft to the 33 of Zach Stevens. By the way, if you remember back to when we went green lap 75, so we can set you up for when to maybe expect this pit stop. We know drivers can make it at least 35 laps, so you can go to at least lap 110, and that leaves 35 to go, so this will be a solid one stop. The question is, how far after 35 can you go, and how far do you necessarily go? Maybe, again, I know we talked about it earlier, but maybe some guys try to go a little bit further. Some guys try to come a little bit sooner, maybe when that window opens, versus some that, again, try to go towards the end of their fuel window, and that way they have tires late on in the next run. Well, we haven't heard about tire wear being too much of a handling issue here tonight, but it certainly made a difference in speed, and Bill Hales said that he's been watching the front grip and been doing a pretty good job managing it, and here at Kentucky, especially through 3 and 4, that front grip is so important. Look how much wheel he's putting into that truck, trying to get the front end to turn. Now, of course, you don't want to wear the back tires out too much, or it's going to have a tendency to slip as well. But either way, my point is, Bill Hales, if he's able to manage that front grip as well as he was in Stage 2, he's going to be hard to get around here as David Traylor continues to see if there's an easy way around his teammate here, but he has yet to find it. As the 54 gets trapped again here off of 2, that'll give Zach Stevens another run. We'll see if he decides to take it to the inside. Yes, he will. Traylor, no block being given there. The 33's run will start to die out now into turn number 3. Battle for 4th between Jake Bustos and Kenneth Redinger. And then a spot behind them. How about Justin Parham trying to make his way back to the field? And, you know, I'm not really sure exactly what happened to this 19. We saw on the restart, I didn't catch any direct issues that happened, so I'm not sure if he just faded back naturally or if there was more to it, but either way, for Justin Parham, he's got some work to do as he's now back to that 6th spot. And, you know, normally you'd say, well, he's only got 5 to make up. Well, 5 in front of him have been fast all night, so he's got his work cut out, and he's going to have to get on it here because with the way it's been going, we have not had a caution yet, and I wouldn't say that the trends are necessarily suggesting that we're going to get one based on the way things have gone so far. Man, if we had an entire race of pure green flag. That might be the first one in my time here at NOMA. And of course, I do think part of that is, again, the smaller field, but overall, the racing has been fantastic where we've seen it here tonight. At least for most people, I should say, because for Joey Hickox, maybe not so much. The 3 truck, the struggles continue here as he sits back in 15th. He's down 6 from where he started, and we know Joey's good at a lot of the mile and a halves. Texas, Las Vegas come to mind. I know Kentucky drives very different, but I think the idea is still that not sure what's going on with the 3 here tonight, but the struggles for Joey Hickox, maybe the internet, as you saw him blink there a little bit, playing a part into it, but I mean, even for Matthew Fritz, Chris Melton, Pete Dillon, still all some of the trucks that are struggling and trying to find their stride here in this race, and fortunately for them, just haven't quite been able to do it yet, as there's Jonathan Herbert in the 87 running just behind the 1 of Keith Prince. Trailer's going to take a peek this time in turn number 3. He's looking to the inside of his teammate. Is he able to get enough to try to sneak by right here? Wasn't able to quite do anything just yet. Bill Hales still looking really, really strong now as we're going to be approaching lap 90 here in just a few laps. And again, if you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. You are watching the Mike T. Stevens 218 for the NOMA Truck Series. And I wouldn't expect that pit stop. I know I mentioned it a couple times, but I want to mention it again. I would not expect anyone to necessarily come before that halfway point of lap 110. I think that's kind of the benchmark, is the earliest that you'll see most drivers come, unless maybe it's somebody really, really towards the back that's got to try something. They really want to gamble. But besides that, I think the safest way to play it is just pretend you're doing 2 tire runs here, similar to what we did in both stages. 30 to 35 laps, depending on how you split it up. Maybe one you go 40, the other one you go 30. Maybe you go 35 on both. Either way you do it, it's going to be, I think, the winning strategy in general here tonight. But we'll see what everybody decides to do. And, of course, you got to get into pit road in order to execute the pit stop. And we have not seen any pit stops yet here tonight, so we'll see if anybody has trouble or if they all can get through it nice and clean. David Traylor has fallen a few spots here, as I believe he must have had a brief, I'm not sure if he had an issue or just a brief hiccup in handling that caused him to lose all that momentum. But you can see the battle for the lead is heating up now between a couple of different leaders here. And Kenneth Redinger, the man that is back from, well, all the way in the back, just about, after he had that issue under caution at the end of the stage. And here comes Justin Parham as well. So it almost seems like kind of a trend that we're noticing here, and that is that the guys, they're continuing to save tire longer and longer. Stage 1, it didn't seem like anybody necessarily saved tires that long. Stage 2, they waited a little bit longer to push it. For Bill Hales, that worked out. And then here in Stage 3 now, it seems like the trucks that we saw really, really far back here for a little while, all of a sudden are starting to go in the right direction as they make their way closer and closer towards the front of the field. Once we hit that lap 100 mark, that's when things start to kind of ramp up, though. Drivers know that 45 laps, it's not going to take that long here when you're clicking off laps at somewhere around 30 seconds a lap or so. Kenneth Redinger now side by side. He is looking for the lead here on the 53 at Bill Hales. The 2 teammates going at it. 2 of the veterans of the series. Redinger, of course, one of the greatest drivers, if you will, that I think NOMA's probably arguably seen since they started. He's won himself a Super Speedway championship, multiple truck championships. We remember how good he was in the Gen 6 series. I mean, this is a guy that knows how to really get it done at any level in any series. So to see him go back to the front here tonight, certainly no surprise. And a lot of drivers going to be chasing that 24 throughout the season. For Kenneth Redinger, who had to miss a couple races last season, to still be able to do what he did and to make it to that championship make it into the playoffs as deep as he did. No surprise to see him do more of the same this season and potentially go fight for another championship. And for the 53 of Bill Hales here, now that he's lost the lead, the mindset's got to change, right? He said that he felt like the tire wear was doing good, so what does he do here? Does he try to all of a sudden push the pace, see if he can get back around this 24? Or does he maybe try to just kind of do damage control and stick behind his teammates, stay as close as he can until they can make it to that final green flag pit stop? And again, the draft does help here. Well, we call it the great equalizer when we go to tracks like Talladega and Daytona, but it plays a role anywhere you go. And if you kind of picture it, when they go down the back here, all that air, as they work down the back, is hitting off the nose of the 24 and going up and over both of those trucks. Redinger is kind of the windbreaker, if you will, and so that helps on the straightaways for Bill Hales, because as he gets there, he doesn't have to worry about as much air resistance, and he's able to pull up to that truck just in front of him. Problem is, has the opposite effect in the turns, doesn't help him at all. In fact, kind of acts as dirty air, because remember, when you're cornering, You want to get as much downforce as you can, something that can hold that truck on the racetrack, and front downforce is a big part of that. That's why you see Bill Hales here trying to look maybe a lane, maybe half a lane higher than Redinger through 1 and 2, because he's trying to get some clean air on the front nose of that truck. Redinger, though, still looking very, very strong, and right there actually was able to kind of take his line away. And for Bill Hales, he has to make a little bit of a mid-corner adjustment there and try to look a little bit lower. There's Zach Stevens in the 33, still within reach of the 2 leaders, but I would say right now it's a two-way battle for the lead as, almost some contact there between the 8 of Chase Greer and David Traylor. The 54, after winning stage 1, has started to struggle a little bit now here in stage number 3. And Greer's going to get a little bit of support here from his teammate Jay Stinson, who drops down the back straightaway. And we'll see what happens here, but for David Traylor, he's trying to kind of regroup, get some momentum back going. The 8 of Chase Greer, he's going to let that 54 get back clear here down the front stretch. Stinson looking for a move here as well on his teammate. We'll see if he can sneak by. On the outside, yes, he does. Chase Greer not going to fight him too hard for it. The 47 of Sam Boutwell, after slipping up a little bit on the first lap here, the restart in stage 3. Fortunately for him, doesn't look like he's gained much back. Keith Prince in 10th, Jonathan Herbert 11th. They've got Chris Melton in 12th, Matthew Fritz 13th, Pete Dillon in 14th, and then Joey Hickox currently rounds out the cars on track. He is in 15th. And then again, you see Mark Beverly that says out on your scoring tower, did not make the start of the race. Not sure what the issue was for the 55, but did not get to see Mark Beverly make the race here tonight. Going to be 99 of 145 laps complete, and a Mike T. Stevens 218 when they cross the line this next time. Kenneth Redinger, he continues to lead the way. Bill Hales on the outside. He sits back in second. And now he'll go back to the inside as they work their way off the turn. Zach Stevens getting ready to be under fire here from another one of the Grandstand Racing drivers, Justin Parham, who is now pulled up to the back bumper of that 33 truck. By the way, for anybody curious about what the manufacturer split has looked like for the field here tonight, just about all Chevys, minus a couple Fords, and then throw in about 4 Toyotas. Right now, it's the Chevys who are dominating, sitting 1, 2, 3, 4 before you find the first Toyotas, and then Sam Boutwell is currently the highest running Ford in the field, at least at the moment. And I'll tell you what, Bill Hales, he just continues to impress. I mean, I thought Redinger was going to run away with this, but look at this. Hales is going to get up, side draft his teammate, and they'll be back to even going into turn 1. Hales has to fade out of it a little bit there. Didn't want to go in and make it too awkward. That is a good-looking paint scheme for that truck, too. It looks like a similar paint scheme, but we see Brad Keselowski run in some of the races that we've seen at the Cup Series. And, ooh, man, I'll tell you what, you can tell these two are starting to get racy, and Bill Hales right there, he got a little argy-bargy with his teammate, and that put Redinger up in the marbles, and he lost some track position there, as not only did he lose the lead, but he fades almost half a second back from his teammate. He'll have to now put his head down and try to make up that time again here before we get to this green flag pit stop. And before we do get to that point, now that we have hit the lap 100 mark, we are going to take another quick break, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us as Bill Hales leads at Kentucky.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to the Mike T. Stevens 218, live from Kentucky Speedway for the Manny Rays NOMA Truck Series, as we continue to slowly but surely wind down this 218-mile event, 145-lap race. And up front, Bill Hales, I mean, what can you say? He's checking all the boxes here tonight. He's been able to lead laps, he's been able to manage tires, and even when he's lost the lead, he's found a way to get it back. The 53 just continues to look more and more like a truck that is going to find victory lane here tonight, bearing all things continued to go in his favor. Kenneth Redinger, you saw he faded over break, and now that's moved Justin Parham up to second, and I think really this 19 truck, at least currently, might be the last thing standing in the way of this 53 setting sail for the rest of this race. Question is, can Parham catch up, and what can Bill Hales do if he gets there? 107 of 145 laps complete, going to be 108 at the line this time, so we're getting closer and closer to that green flag pit stop, which again, expect maybe somewhere right around, I would say, lap 110 to maybe lap 120 would be somewhere in the ballpark of that window, unless drivers can maybe stretch it just a little bit further. But again, that's the general idea, and if you're Bill Hales, you want to get as much room as you can so that you don't have to push the issue too much as you work into that final pit stop. Moving on back to a couple of the battles that we have towards the top five, or rather the end of the top five. Kenneth Redinger is still trying to hold on for now just until we can get to the pit stop to a podium. And then Zach Stevens in fourth, Jake Bustos in fifth, Jay Stinson in sixth. And then David Traylor is actually going to take that spot from Stinson. Take it back, I guess I should say, as Jay's on the inside, Traylor on the outside. So as everybody continues to try to get these things sorted out before we get to the green flag pit stop, the other thing that I do want to show everybody that's watching here tonight at home is the NOMA 2024 schedule. Again, we've already clicked off technically four of these races, plus the Clash. It started with the Clash at Daytona, then we moved on to the Daytona Opener Auto Club 2 weeks ago, and then it was Pocono last week, and here we are at Kentucky tonight. Next week, we're going to head to the Brickyard Indianapolis Motor Speedway for 90 laps there. That's going to be a good one. Then it's off to Darlington, the Lady in Black. As you see on the side-by-side, how about that? Justin Parham with authority gets around his teammate in the 53, so all of a sudden the 19 has found some life here, as he's going to see if he can pull away. But talked about, we head to Darlington, and then after that we go to Iowa, followed by Dover, and then Talladega, which will be, I believe, the last race before the playoff break. Well, then it's the NOMA doubleheader, which not sure if that one's still going to count towards points or not, but either way, the doubleheader again starts with the Indy Open Wheel Oval, as you see pit stops underway on the screen, and then we head to Charlotte. And the round of 16 gets kicked off with Texas Motor Speedway, followed by Kansas. And it's on to Nashville. The round of 8 will be Chicagoland, followed by Las Vegas, and then Miami. And the championship 4 getting changed around a little bit, as it's going to go back to Old Atlanta, even though it had been Texas over the course of the last couple seasons. All right, as we go back live, you saw some of the pit stops. Let's see if we see any more here off of turn 4. Does anybody decide to bring it down? Yes, they do. It's going to be, looks like Chris Melton, but actually started picking up some positions there late in that run. Melton was starting to find a little something. Meanwhile, up front, still out on the racetrack, is Kenneth Redinger, Zach Stevens, and Jay Stinson. And then you've got Jonathan Herbert, Keith Prince, Matthew Fritsch, Joey Hickox, Chris Melton, Sam Boutwell, Justin Parham, Chase Greer, Bill Hales, Jake Bustos, David Traylor, Pete Dillon. All still waiting to make that final pit stop, as we already saw a couple drivers make one. I know I named a couple that had already made one at the end, but for Chris Melton here, 4 tires and fuel, and he'll make it right back out on the racetrack. And by the way, the drivers that pit as soon as the window kind of opened with 35 laps to go. Remember, that's the same distance as what we ran in stage number 1. So that's the mindset there. And then for this group that you see coming in right here, Redinger, Stevens, and Stinson. Then, of course, for anybody else once they pit. And then can't forget about Herbert and Keith Prince. The mindset for all these drivers is that they'll have fresher tires so that they can play offense the entire run, versus the drivers that are out now. They'll have a lead, but unfortunately, they're going to have to play defense by the time this race is coming to an end. All right, so we'll see who gets the better pit stop right here. We're going to keep an eye on the gap. In fact, we'll go to the pit lane cam here and watch for Justin Parham, and also see if we can find Bill Hales. There goes Parham. There goes Chris Melton and a couple others, and boy, they smoked them out of the pits. Man, they're going to have a huge lead here. Trailer already made that pit stop along with a couple others, and I mean, Redinger, you look at Redinger, you look at Bill Hales, and then you actually go up even further than that. Well, actually, oh, hold on a minute. Oh, look at this. Justin Parham got a penalty. I didn't even notice it on the initial call. Oh, man, that's a mistake from the 19 that could not afford to happen at this stage in the race, and man, that is going to cost Parham big time. Oh, I cannot believe that. He had just taken the lead, got himself in great position. He may have had the best tires and even arguably the winning strategy, but not anymore after that. That is a huge mistake for Justin Parham to make after being pretty much mistake-free, obviously, all night. Oh, my goodness. And for Justin Parham, he has got to be wondering what in the heck just happened. And I want to see, you know what, let's see if we can go back here and watch this pit stop entrance here from Parham, see exactly where it all goes wrong here. As this was actually, this might have been, oh, this was when he had to serve it back, I believe. Let's back this all the way up here. See exactly what kind of penalty he gets right here. Because as they come into the pits, you see just behind him there's the 53 of Bill Hales, who he had been racing with, and it just got around before he makes this stop. And then as he works his way in right here, let's see, when he gets into his box, I think the issue isn't here. I think it's going to be something that happens on exit. Because usually if you get a penalty on either entry or speeding, you know, coming to your pit box, it makes you serve it in the box while you're getting, you know, fuel, tires, and everything else. But in this case, for Justin Parham, he leaves. Looks good there. Let's see, does he get an merging onto the track too soon penalty? I'm just not sure here. Oh, he taps the wall, but seems okay there. He's getting up to speed, still below the yellow, Gets out clean. I'm just not really sure what the penalty was for this 19 car. But whatever it was, for Justin Parham, you see he's going to bring it right back down. He knows he's got the penalty, and that's an odd one. Certainly not sure exactly what it was. Looked like he was okay on exit to me, but that's going to end Parham's chances of fighting for a win here tonight, after he did everything right in this third stage regarding saving tire. And now that turns it really back over to Bill Hales, who's in position of being the fastest car. The only thing for him is he is not on the freshest tires, and the reason that might be a bit of an issue here is because Redinger is not that far back, and for Bill Hales, he's still battling to try to get around some of these trucks that have already pit. One of those being the 74 of Jake Bustos, who he's trying to sneak by on the inside by right now. Oh, big impact for Bill Hales. He got turned coming out of 4. Caution is out. Oh, my goodness. In trouble for another one of the favorites. I had just looked down to check the stats on how far back Kenneth Redinger was. As soon as I looked up, the 53 got right hooked dead into the fence. And Bill Hales' truck is totaled. He's going to have to go in and use a fast repair. And all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a late race caution. And oh my goodness. Well, I think this might be more Bill Hales sliding up than the 74 coming down based off of where it happened at. But let's see here. This is coming out of the corner. Yeah, Bill's just sliding up. He's almost clear, but he's just not quite. And Jake Bustos' defense, I mean, he's there. It's late in the race. He can't just give that up. And, you know, I don't think Bill is expecting that. I don't think Bill really meant to get into him. I think Bill either thought he was clear or just maybe the truck just started sliding on him to a point where he couldn't catch it. And then watch this. This is a hard hit. I mean, dead right into the fence. You see that car initially, excuse me, I keep saying car, you see that truck initially start to lift up off the ground after contact, but quickly sets back down as the roof flaps deployed. But watch this again here from TV2. Clips just the end of the safer barrier right there. You see the truck start to catch air, but quickly sets back down. And man, for Jake Bustos, he took pretty good damage from this as well. You saw that truck even start to lift just briefly. And again, these two were both in good position for a good finish. And now they're both going to have to go in and probably take a fast repair and hope that that's enough to at least let them continue, as there's Jake Bustos. Once he gets turned, watch this for 74. He takes a pretty good shot on the front end and the rear of that truck into the outside concrete wall. Let's go to the onboard view here for Jake and see if this does anything. Well, it just looks like Bill Hales is just sliding and just slides a little bit too far. And there may have actually been just a little bit of netcode involved there as well. But, I mean, either way, the 74, it's holding his lane, and it's just a tough break for two drivers who have done a great job all night. And now the bigger story is going to be turning our attention to this late race restart. In fact, looks like we're going to get the one-to-go signal right here, so already getting ready to be back to it. And now, boy, strategy comes into play for a lot of drivers. How about, you talk about flipping a race on its lid. Look who we have got up front. Two of the trucks who have been trying to get up front all day, but haven't even been able to stay with the leaders. But due to that late caution and the strategy call, all of a sudden it puts two of the Venom Racing teammates, Matthew Fritz and Joey Hickox, in a position where if they can hold on, they might have a chance. Joey, you see he's blinking around a little bit. I think he's having a little bit of internet issues. Hopefully for Joey, it holds together for him here so that you can see a good race to the finish, as it's going to be 24 laps to go. And things are about to get aggressive. Remember, 5 tire sets. That includes the one you start this race on. And we've already had 3 pit stops, so everybody should have had, or I guess I should say with this pit stop at least, it could be close on how many drivers have a set left versus who doesn't. Either way, it doesn't matter now. Pull those belts tight. We are getting ready to go for one of the craziest restarts that we were going to see so far this season. As there's a win on the line, and you saw the format when we were looking at the schedule for this season. It's a win and you're in. As long as you make at least 7 of the races, get it out of the way early, and be able to enjoy the rest of the season. Here we go. Pace car pulls off. Back into the Geico restart zone they go. Green flag is back in the air. 24 laps to go at Kentucky. Good restart for the front row. David Traylor, though, gives a big shot to the 29 further back. Bill Hale's already looking 3 wide. That's one of those trucks that's already on 4 tires. Keep an eye on the guys that are on 4 versus the guys on none or 2. You're going to see a lot of time been making. Oh, here we go. They're going to wreck. On the backstretch, goes around the 47 of Sam Boutwell. He gets into the fence. No caution yet. We keep it green. Looks like Boutwell's able to get back rolling. Now we see a caution. And it doesn't look like for any further incident. That is just a caution for the 47, though, of Sam Boutwell, who got into the wall. Doesn't even look like he got much damage. The back end of that truck is a little caved in, but certainly I'm a little surprised to see that caution be thrown there, as it looked like things got cleaned up. But now this is going to put us with a restart inside 23 laps, inside 20 to go. All right, let's go back and break down exactly where it all went wrong here for Sam Boutwell, the Grandstand Racing driver. Let's see here. So as they get off of turn 2, these guys were going at it. I mean, we had 2, 3 wide everywhere. And I think the 47, it's going to start with him just getting loose. So you can see he already had that damage in the back of the truck from contact earlier. Not sure exactly when the contact ensued, but either way, it didn't really have an effect on this accident here. It's just coming out of 2. You see that truck start to slide around. He saves it, but then just gets loose again, gets down into the 8 of Chase Greer, and then gets up into, I believe that was Redinger, and then gets into the outside fence. Doesn't look like too much damage, though, so I think he'll be okay, and that was indeed what brought the caution out. So let's go back up front. No change for the lead, as we didn't even get a lap complete. Matthew Fritz still being scored as your leader. Joey Hickox 2nd. David Traylor 3rd. Chase Greer 4th. And Zach Stevens currently rounding out your top 5. All right, well, as we get ready to go back green, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back for the restart. Stick with us at Kentucky.
couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway, closing in now on the end of the Mike T. Steven 218. Green flag is back in the air. It's going to be 20 laps to go as the 29 gets off to a great restart. David Traylor might be looking to take advantage himself here down into turn number 1. Can't do anything there. Joey Hickok's on the outside trying to hold strong. Didn't have a chance to see if any of the 4 tires had anything to give on that last restart. We'll see what they can do this time around. Joey Hickok still on the outside. He's able to get back ahead of David Traylor as they work into turn number 3. Matthew Fritz still on the bottom. Joey Hickok's up top trying to see if he can get clear of his teammate. Look at this, all the way from the back to the front. Joey Hickok takes the lead for the first time here tonight with 19 laps to go. But out back, the mad scramble continues. 3 wide into turn number 1. In the middle, stuck in the middle, if you will, it's Kenneth Redinger, Chase Greer trying to go high. And then, oh man, almost some contact right there as they work down the back. Parham has to bail. Stevens on the inside. Jay Stinson, who does he go with? Joey Hickox is loving what he's seeing out back. David Traylor, though, was able to get to second without having to race anybody for too long. So we'll see if he's able to catch this 3 truck now. 18 laps to go. Chase Greer still side by side with the 24. This is where the 2x2 starts and really goes all the way to the back of the group from here. And at this point, everybody's using up their stuff. 18 laps to go. There's really not any more tire saving going on. This is fight for all the track position you can get and then try to hold on to it. But man, for Bill Hales, what a tough break. Lost all that track position in the accident, and now he's just fighting to try to get it back. But it is not an easy task here as he is currently stuck side by side. And now he's going to get clear of Melton, and he'll just jump behind the 74 of Jake Bustos. And he'll see if he can get enough of a run here to maybe get behind the 19 and maybe try to play some follow the leader back to the front, but he could be in danger running out of time because up front, Joey Hickox continues to put down a good pace. In terms of the gap between him and Bill Hales, you're looking at almost 2 seconds, but the gap for the lead is now closing up, and here comes the 33 of Zach Stevens. He was able to get around Matthew Fritz through 3 and 4, and now he is trying to get himself all the way to the lead. Joey Hickox still leads the way. David Traylor in second, and Zach Stevens in third. If you're just tuning in, you picked a great time to do so. We have had a lot of great racing here tonight, and I don't think we have seen the last of it just yet. Traylor continues to close the gap. What is Joey Hickox willing to do? Again, a win and you're in. You got to get the job done here if you're Joey, especially in a race where he struggled for so much of, but now he's got an opportunity to forget all that, erase it, and potentially go for his biggest win of the season here if he can get the job done. I mean, as a driver, there is nothing better than a race that isn't going your way. You get a lucky break somehow, in this case in the form of a caution that gets you up front, and you manage to seal the deal, but Traylor's not going to let this one go easy. The 54 back to the inside, he gets into Joey Hickox. The 54 is going to hold on David Traylor. Man, that was a huge moment right there as he almost got himself turned around. Boy, he was going for it. He was trying to put the hammer down, and man, that could have been a whole lot worse. They all save it. And now this has brought Zach Stevens up into the mix. Teammate on teammate action here, and you know they're going to be friendly to each other, but at the same time, Zach Stevens, he wants this one more than anything. He has got the tribute scheme on the front and the tailgate of that truck. And if he could win the race here tonight, that's attributed to Mike T. Stevens, it's going to be probably the greatest win he's gotten since he has been in any of the NOMA series. But he's still got a lot of work to do. 13 laps to go when they cross the line. That's still a long ways to go here at Kentucky, and Joey Hickox is not going to give way. Joey Hickox still on the outside, starts to regain the advantage as they race off towards turn number 1. And if you're Zach Stevens here, do you try to change it up or do you keep staying to that inside line? You got to be careful here. I know I said nobody's saving tire, but at the same time, you can certainly overuse your tires right here if you're not careful. And Zach's going to fade. I think he's going to try to regroup here and see if he can make another run at it. Joey Hickox trying to take away the line for that 33 as you see everybody work off of turn 4. Now starting to slowly but surely get more and more single filed out. But man, these trucks in the back are really, really struggling to make up any positions, even if they've got fresher tires, as traffic has been a tough ask here tonight. Ooh, Keith Prince with some trouble there getting into turn 1. Looks like maybe got a little bit loose. Him and the 87 got together, and that was almost another caution right there, but they hold on to it, and we stay green. Back up front we go. The battle still on for the lead here between Stevens and Joey Hickox. David Traylor, he may not be done yet. Slowly but surely starting to creep back into the picture as he has now got it back to under half a second. Still got a lot of work to do here to try to close back in on the 2 leaders, but I'm telling you, if Hickox or Stevens slip up even just a little, Traylor will be there to pounce. Working down the back straightaway, they're going to be coming to 10 laps to go next time. Again, next week we head to the Brickyard, another track that is very, very difficult to win at. A lot of guys that have the opportunity here tonight would love to get it out of the way. And don't forget, for Venom Racing, boy, they want to break the streak that Grandstand Racing has been on over the course of the last few weeks, really since the season started, with winning all 3 of the first 3 races to kick off the season. But here tonight, Venom Racing currently sits 1 and 2. What would this do not only for one of these 2 drivers, but also for the team standings and both of their point standings if they could bring home a 1-2? But Traylor, he continues to close that gap back up. It was 0.4 of a second. Now he's got it down to 0.3 of a second. You start to say, does anybody else have anything to break into this mix? Matthew Fritz is just under a second back. Jay Stinson, though, he's going to make a pass. And right now, Venom Racing has 4 out of the top 5 spots filled up. And we are coming to 8.5 laps to go as they work onto the backstretch this time. And guess who? Zach Stevens has taken the lead away from Joey Hickox. Joey Hickox back to the inside. What's he got down here in turn number 3? He's going to have to try some sort of a dive bomb here, but he's not going to be able to do it. Stevens is able to pinch him down just enough to keep the momentum up top. Watch out for David Traylor, the 54. He's got to run, and now he's going to look to the inside of Joey Hickox down the front stretch. Joey's going to do everything he can here. If he's going to fade, he's going to at least try to see if he can drag back the 54 with him, but he's not going to have any luck. Traylor's able to get clear down into turn 1, and now the 54 is going to set his sights on Zach Stevens. And Traylor made that mistake. Took him a few laps to get dialed back in, but he looks really, really smooth now. Stevens is going to stay up top for now. That is the preferred lane for momentum, as long as you've got the grip to make it work. Coming to 7 laps to go, you can see Zach Stevens, he's able to pull away just a little bit down the front stretch. He had all that momentum coming off of turn 4, and David Traylor is going to have to try to find some clean air to work with here. And I think Traylor's better through 1 and 2. You see he's kind of running that arced approach. He's able to get a little bit of momentum off the corner, but Stevens is still trying to gap it out slowly but surely here. And you wonder, with the way 3 and 4 is set up here, being kind of as flat as it is, a mile and a half, is there any thought of maybe a little bit of a bump and run or a nudge to try to get him out of his lane if David Traylor is to get to him? I don't know if it's going to happen, but 6 laps to go, and right now Zach Stevens is starting to pull away again. He's got it up to 3.5 of a second. And man, if you're Zach Stevens at this point, I got to think that you're hoping that we can make it to that white flag. As long as he keeps the lead he's got, he does not want to see another restart. Meanwhile, further back, Matthew Fritz continues to fade as he's trying to hold on for the end of this race. Armin Rediger looking to go by on the inside, as is his teammate, the 8 of Chase Greer. Ooh, they're going to go 3 wide right here off turn 4. Chase Greer looking to the inside. Chris Melton's got a choice that he's going to have to make here. Who does he go with? Looks like he's going to go with the top lane. That allows Matthew Fritz to stay even. And they are still 3 wide. Chase Greer fighting for a little bit of elbow room. Kenneth Redinger is trying to get clear up top, and he will. And so as Redinger moves up, they get that mess sorted out. Back up front we go. Trailer, he's not necessarily gaining, but he's not lost much either. Just kind of hanging even. And again, it's only going to take one slip up from either of these two to decide how this race officially ends. David Trailer trying to utilize that draft to the best of his advantage. And don't look now, but here comes the 2 of Jay Stinson. We talked about how close it was for Jay here a couple times since we've been here. What can he do here tonight? By the way, last year I might have mixed up the races. I initially thought the crazy finish we had here with Jay, with Jay was at this track. I don't remember if it was Nashville Superspeedway or Kentucky, as they're going to be coming to 3 laps to go now. Stevens still leads. 0.3 of a second is the current gap. He's got to make it to the white flag before this race will be official. Trailer continues to fade now. Jay Stinson looking to the inside. Can the 2 truck get clear of David Trailer? He's trying here, and he will. Jay Stinson is going to take that spot now. Jake Bustos looks to the inside here of David Trailer. This is exactly what Zach Stevens wants to see out of his mirror. The more they battle, the further he can get away from everybody else. Stinson is going to have to put together 2 perfect laps if he wants to get there. Final lap that we could have a caution. 2 to go, and Stevens wants to make it to the white. Jay Stinson, he's slowly but surely closing that gap. It was about half a second. Closes it up to 0.4 of a second there. Now Jake Bustos, he's got to run. What will the 74 do? Does he try to push the 2 up, or does he try to make a pass on him here? Working through 3 and 4. Starter has the white flag in air. Are we going to make it official? Yes, we are. As they cross the line to take the white flag, the gap is now 0.4 of a second. Can Zach Stevens hold on for one more lap? Down into turn 1, the 33 looks good. He's going to have one more set of corners to go. Didn't necessarily have the speed in stage 1, but he gained himself some track position. In stage 2, he started to make some headway, and here in stage 3, he got a late caution. He had to race hard for it, but he took advantage. How about this storybook ending for Zach Stevens? The Mike T. Stevens 218 tribute race. He had the scheme on the hood, and now he's going to get the job done. Zach Stevens wins it at Kentucky. And that is going to be the biggest win that Zach Stevens has gotten in his NOMA career. And he will lock himself into the playoffs with this win here tonight. What a race between the top 3 all the way from that final restart to the finish. Stinson brings home 2nd, and Jake Bustos rounds out the podium. And as we await celebrations from your leader, let's take a look at the finishing results here tonight. Zach Stevens, your race winner. Jay Stinson 2nd, Jake Bustos 3rd, Justin Parham 4th, David Trailer in 5th, Chris Melton in 6th, Joey Hickox in 7th, Chase Greer 8th, Kenneth Redinger in 9th, and Matthew Fritz rounding out your top 10. Moving on back to 11th, it's Jonathan Herbert, Keith Prince in 12th, Sam Boutwell 13th, Bill Hales in 14th, Pete Dillon in 15th, and Mark Beverly rounds out the field here tonight as he finishes in 16th. All right, well, we're going to go see if we can get your top 3 in here for interviews as Zach Stevens celebrates. We'll be right back. Stick with us at Kentucky. All right, going to start with your 3rd place finisher here tonight, Jake Bustos. Jake, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. Well, man, you bring home a podium here tonight. You had that late surge coming to the last couple laps. Do you think if we had another 5 laps or so, you had anything for the leader?
It would have been close. I guess it wouldn't have been dependent on how I got around Jay. He was tough to get around, and I'm not going to move somebody out of the way for a position or whatnot. So if I got around him clean, maybe I had something for Zach. I definitely didn't realize I had as much tire as I did at the end until I started picking some people off. So it was nice to kind of find that long run speed.
Well, it's early in the season, but certainly never too early to start to build some momentum. And, mile and a halves are kind of the bread and butter here of the NOMA Truck Series, as many as we go to. How important is it to put together some podiums here early on?
It's definitely important with, especially with the caliber of driver that you have here, and a lot of the mile and a halves for the most part are about the same. Where you don't have a lot of off throttle time. Kentucky is one of those weird ones where you do, once the run goes on, you get a lot of off throttle, so it kind of separates, and your cream of the crop drivers start moving to the top. But definitely important to string some good finishes.
Well, you put together a good one here tonight. So before we let you head out to celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, first I gotta give my condolences to Zach for his passing and congratulate him on the win. After that, I had to thank Jay and Joey and Johnny Eckert, everybody here at NOMA that make things happen. You here in the booth, Austin, and then just my Outlaw team, DJ Weeks, Alex Boffley over there in the booth, Johnny Eckert on the tower. Hopefully, I finally got an interview. It's been a while, so hopefully they're proud of me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for talking to us here tonight, Jake, and congrats again on the podium finish.
Take care.
All right, and now that's going to bring us to your second place finisher here tonight for Venom Racing. It's Jay Stinson. Jay, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy.
Hey, what's up, Austin? Great to have you back, man.
I appreciate it. But, man, how about this? A second place finish. It's a 1-2 for Venom Racing. And, man, overall, not too bad on speed here tonight, but it was the end where you really started to find your rhythm. What was the difference on that last restart?
I felt like I had a good truck all night. We beat a few doors throughout the race and a little frustrated in points, and I got a little bit too frustrated and had to go apologize to Sam, which I'll do now. Like, this ain't worth all that. It was fun, hard racing, and then but in that last stage, man, like the truck just came to me, saved my stuff enough, made the right moves. I may have put my teammate in a bad spot earlier in that. I got to apologize to Chase. We were racing kind of hard there, and I had a little bit of a run on the high side, and he let me take it, and it cost him a few positions. So, teamwork's a big thing here, and sometimes it doesn't work out for one or the other. And, tonight it wasn't Chase, but Chase, I got to thank him for doing that and giving me an opportunity to race up there for the win.
Well, you don't quite bring it home here tonight, but you still bring home a second place finish. And, next week we go from the 1.5 mile to the big 2 mile Brickyard Oval. How you feeling about your chances next week in Indianapolis? 2.5 mile.
I like Indy just fine. I'm not the quickest there, but enjoy the track and like racing there. So there's a lot of great talent here, a lot of hard racers, and it's just hard to get wins here. So when you get them, you just got to treasure them because they're few and far between with the mixed bag of great talent we have.
Well spoken. Well, before we let you head out here tonight, Jay, to go celebrate the second place finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I always want to thank you. It's great to have you back. I'm sure when we go back and watch this thing, it's going to be awesome, just like it always is when you do them. So I'm excited to have you back, and that's a weight off my shoulders. I'd like to thank all my sponsors, for me and Joey, Manny Rays, Rhino Lines of Bristol, Abingdon Collision, Flatwoods, Allstate. Just all these guys, H&H Tractor, MOZA, all these guys that allow us to do this on Saturday, and all the drivers that showed up tonight. I know Bristol night race was tonight, so a bad schedule on my point, but I wanted to race and run, so I'm glad for everybody that was able to come out. And then a special thanks for, the main reason we ran tonight and who it was for. It's fitting that Zach got that W for his grandfather, Mike T. Stevens. It's in his love and memory that we did this race, and so to the Stevens family, we're thinking about you. Hopefully this made you feel good, put a smile on your face, and then I know Zach getting that win, that had to feel great. So just want to thank you and my teammates for always running with me and doing what you do.
Thank you, of course, for talking to us, Jay. Well, again, congrats on that second place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, and now that'll bring us to the man of the hour, the race winner for Venom Racing, Zach Stevens. Zach, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Well, you get the job done. It was a tribute race. You had the tribute scheme. We know who you got the job done for, but the first question is, how are you feeling after that one?
I can't tell you how I feel, man. It's crazy. I was getting emotional. Still am. With about 3 to go. I didn't think I would, but I did. Just means a lot, We're all gonna miss him, and he liked hearing about me racing and everything, and he always liked watching on TV and stuff and talking about it with my dad and my uncles and everything. So it just feels great, and my first points win in a truck is crazy. I literally bought the track tonight before the race. I didn't think I was going to be able to do nothing. And the whole race, I was about third to fifth majority of the race. So it felt good. I think it's one of them legacy tracks that eats the tires up, and I like those kind of tracks. And it was fun racing, some hard racing here and there, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, towards the end there, once we saw you get by for the lead, it seemed like you never really looked back, even with some of the competition that started to come up from behind. And, you know, as a driver, is there sometimes kind of a zone that you get into where you just feel like the truck's on rails? I mean, you did not make a mistake at all once you were able to take the lead there to the finish.
Yeah, I just knew with clean air, if I could keep that middle to high line protected and just make a consistent laps, the last handful of laps, I think I would be okay, and that's what happened. And Jay kind of fought David a little bit, and that helped me a little bit too. So I was nervous for sure. I was like, come on, man, like those laps took forever. So I was definitely nervous, but just tried to concentrate on making clean laps, and it worked out.
Yes, it did. Well, hey, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate, you got yourself locked in, so is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, first off, I just want to thank Jay and Joy and you and everybody that had a hand in this tribute. I asked him if I could make a scheme for it and everything, and then Jay messaged me like a day or two later and was like, hey, send me the graphics and everything, and he sent me what he came up with, and I didn't expect that, and I'm so grateful. My dad and my uncles are as well, and I always want to thank them for watching, and all the sponsors. I know I didn't have none on the truck tonight, but MOZA, they're the main sponsor, and Crown Lift Trucks, and all the sponsors for Venom Racing, and all my teammates. Like I said, I bought the track tonight, and Jay told us really how to race the track, and I just went from there, and it all worked out. And I want to thank you as well for putting on the broadcast. You always do a good job. It's good to have you back, man.
Well, thank you for talking to us. And, hey, again, congrats on the win. Biggest one in your NOMA career so far, and I'm sure it's not the last one either. Well, thanks for talking to us, Zach, and we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
All right, well, that's just about going to do it for us here tonight, man. What a race it was, and he said it best. Jay Stinson, that is, said it best. It's only fitting, right, that Zach Stevens gets the job done. What a way to pay tribute to Mike T. Stevens, and man, oh man, I know he is one happy guy right now. He's got himself locked into the playoffs, and I cannot wait to see what we have got awaiting for us next week at the Brickyard. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in here tonight. As always, I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back next week, but for tonight, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. Until next time, have a good night.